Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Uncomfortably Candid podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a question that I get asked a lot, and that is, what is coaching? And then a follow-up question that I typically have is, how is it different from counseling? And so today, we're going to address that and give you a little backstory on kind of how I ended up where I am and why I am a coach. And this podcast is not like a typical podcast where, I encourage you in some sort of aspect. This podcast is more educational and to encourage you to get your own coach, even if it's not me, because it changed my life. But other than that, this is just an educational podcast. And so I want to start off with just defining what is a coach. And a coach is someone that provides personal development support. Support, meaning these sessions are client-led, pretty much. When I start my sessions, I basically turn it over to my clients and say, what do you want to accomplish out of this session today? And counseling is not so much, it's not client-led. It's more skills and techniques that the therapist uses to help the client. But this personal development support is for helping individuals achieve specific goals or improve performance, say in the workplace, and just enhance overall life satisfaction or well-being in general. And so basically what coaches do is they help clients clarify goals if they don't already know what their goals are, and then they help them identify any obstacles, which are most of the time limiting beliefs. And then because the sessions are client-led, the client comes up with the goals, and then they come up with the obstacles, and then they come up with their own strategies about how they're going to overcome those obstacles, and then they say how they're going to take action, because when they create these things, they are more apt to follow through. So as a coach, I make them develop their own strategies and their own action steps. Because if I'm just telling them what to do, then they aren't as motivated to do them, because internal motivation is the best type of motivation. So topics can range from career to career transitions to relationships, health and wellness, and then just building confidence or self-esteem just in any of these aspects. And so the difference between coaching and counseling is what I tell everyone is coaching is present to future, counseling is past to present. Because coaching is goal-oriented, action and results-focused. Counseling is more healing past trauma. And so this leads to different types of clientele. Clients in coaching are functional and emotionally stable, and that doesn't mean you're not functionally stable if you have a counselor. It just means that the range of stability varies greatly over the clientele with counseling than it does with coaching. So that means the methods are going to be different. And so, you've got accountability for the coachee is what they're called. And then motivational and goal-based support. Then for the methods with counseling, it's clinical, diagnostic, therapeutic skills, and, psychological theories to help their clients. Coaches do not have a licensure. Counselors have to get licensed in their state and follow those guidelines, ethical, procedural guidelines, and coaches get certified. And there is a gold standard. Not every coach is certified, but it is non-clinical. And there are the same topics talked about in each one, counseling and coaching. The way I explain it is counseling is when the issues discussed in coaching are not able to be overcome, or they have turned into a deeper issue like anxiety or depression. And so, as a coach, if I have a client that I feel is struggling past the point of just, learning how to cope better, and I see that they are struggling, then I would send them to a counselor. I think there are referral processes between coaches and counselors that I think are great. The same as if a counselor has, gotten a client to where they're emotionally stable and functional, and they just see that they're struggling with goals and, performance, then they send them to a coach. And so it's just this referral cycle. But the reason I decided to go the coaching route rather than the clinical route is because I was working in a facility, and it wasn't that I hated my job. I just hated the way I felt after I left. I was emotionally and mentally and physically exhausted. So I didn't love that. And then I took a coaching elective through my master's program. I was still in my master's program, trying to figure out what the heck I wanted to do, if I wanted to get my PhD in psychology, which is more research-based, or get my PsyD. And even went through the whole process of taking the GED because that's required for those programs. And then took the life coaching or the coaching elective and just absolutely came alive every class session, loved all the books that we read. And that prompted me to get my own coach. And I met a girl who was a strength-based coach, and she basically helped me put language to why I behave the way that I do, which is why I love strength so much. And that just really was the icing on the cake, the solidifier into me shifting away from the clinical route into the program that I just completed. And it all started to make sense to me when I was learning about my strengths and how, my number one strength is futuristic. I think achiever, which is very goal oriented, is like my number 3, or it's in my top 5. Focus is my number 2 strength. So for motivation purposes, so it just all started to make sense as to why I came alive in those, in the classes for the coaching sessions. And so, I guess I just, and neither one of them is better than the other. they are both great for whatever the client needs. I always say coaches need coaches, coaches need counselors, counselors need coaches, and counselors need other counselors. It all depends on what you need. And like I said, it's this sort of like this cycle, of, okay, I'm dealing with a little bit of anxiety. I should probably go talk to a therapist to see if there's anything rooted in, my past that's keeping me from, breaking through. And then, once I've discovered that breakthrough, then, I go back to coaching to start goal setting and start trying to achieve some of the goals that I want, but neither one of them is better than the other. And, I think it's important for people to know the difference between coaching and counseling, because coaching is becoming so prevalent. And I just love it because it changed my life. And it's just always so nice to have someone walk alongside you when you're through transformation and change. It's like, especially if change is hard for you. So yeah, I think that, and I didn't know this when I first started coaching. I had to research and figure out, okay, what is the difference between, coaching and counseling? If I'm going to be doing this for a career, I need to actually know what the difference is. And so, yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all next time. I'm really excited. I'm going to talk about, kind of the framework that I use with my clients, and, yeah, we'll see you all next time. Bye.